It's setting it up.
Yep.
Okay, we're live.
We're live.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. We're back. Another month.
We're back.
It's October already. I always say that. It's September. It's October, as if everyone doesn't know what month it is.
Happy October. It's finally fall.
It is. It's
Okay,
no different
so-
in California. You're missing it.
Yeah, isn't it hot in California? It's so cold here.
It is.
Yeah,
Kate
it's
and
beautiful
Faith just went to the beach just now at 8 o'clock at night, or no, whatever time it is, 6 o'clock. So
All right, well, we're running a little late, so our mystery guest is already ready to join. Should I let her in?
yeah, let her in.
Okay.
I can't see.
Hey.
Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
How are you? Look at you all. Nice. You got. I've got mine. I go big. Go big or go home. How are you? I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you. You look beautiful.
You look beautiful.
I'm cold. Thank you.
I know. Look, I got a sweater on because I don't even play that.
Our air conditioning is just blowing right over me, and I don't know how to make it go away. So
my husband keeps it so cold in our house. I'm constantly in layers and layers and layers. It's too cold for me.
I'm the same.
I'm trying to think here. So I think now I know why you weren't answering me on I messaged you this week and I thought, she's not answering me.
Oh,
so then
I was my daughter, I was busy this week. I wasn't doing anything this week. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Then I thought, getting all suspicious. I'm suspicious of everybody now that they're doing this mystery author chat thing to me. Like, is that going to be the person? Is that going to be the person? Every month it's like, is that the person? It's nerve-wracking because I don't know who it is until this exact moment.
You don't know?
No, I don't know. It's a mystery to me.
How brilliant.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So this is so neat.
It's coincidence. I wasn't ignoring you because I was the mystery author. I was ignoring you because I haven't been going on social media.
Well, I'm so spoiled with Megan. Megan is my assistant because she does a lot of my social media stuff. And I get so lucky because I, get to focus on other things and they take care of that. And it's like, oh, so good. So
best. I know.
Yeah. So how are you?
Hi, Lauren. I just wanted to say hi really quick.
Hi,
Megan.
You're gorgeous.
Hi. So we've been chatting on email, but now I get to see you in person.
I know. Look at that flawless skin. Isn't that
She's
crazy?
gorgeous. I know. I wish. Oh.
I will just be in the background while you guys chat, and I will be writing down everyone's questions. And then whenever there's a moment, I'll ask, and you guys can answer.
Oh, good. So I don't need to be reading anything on screen. I don't need to put on my glasses then?
Okay. No, we just get to chat.
That's great. That's awesome.
So do you know what today is, Lauren? It's so apropos that you're my guest today. Today is a year on this day that I found a lump in my breast.
Oh my God.
It's a year on this exact day.
Oh my God. I have goosebumps all over my body right now. That is a huge
I know. Is that crazy?
thing. Yeah.
So everyone, I feel great. I mean, I feel great. Honestly, it's been a little crazy. You see, I've got now I've got this going on too.
What happened? Yeah, what happened?
Well, it's a roller derby accident. No, I'm kidding. It's basal cell carcinoma.
Fuck, man.
I know. 2020 can suck a bag of dicks.
Exactly.
I know. I've had it.
A dumpster truck full of dicks, man.
Yeah, I have it there, and then I have it on the bridge of my nose also. So on Tuesday, I'm getting that one done. I'll get these stitches out, and then I get another slice right there.
I am so, just to think about, when you first contacted me, just to think that it's been a year,
right?
Like, what a journey, what a roller coaster ride for you, and to just see how vibrant you are right now. This is, and I mean, you're still doing it, but this is the other side we talked about at the very beginning.
I
And
don't know what I would have done without you, because, oh my God, how many times did I call you hysterical, going, so many things. And if each person that was in my shoes didn't have a person like you to do that for them, I hope when you went through it, you had a person like you,
Good.
because what do you
And
do if you don't?
what do you do if you don't? It's hopeless. It's just
It's
impossible.
the scariest thing.
So
And
fucking terrifying.
oh my God. So yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, that's why it's like, it's not, you'll see, because you're going to be that person for someone, and you'll see it's, pleasure's the wrong word, but I mean, like, you know, you wouldn't want to have it any other way than someone being able to say, oh my God, I'm fucking freaking out, and to go, okay, so
Yeah.
it's going
Bring
to be
it
okay.
down. Yeah.
And, you know, just the people who were there for me, just their mere existence was enough to keep me sane, to keep me hoping that it was all gonna
Right.
be-
Well, and that check-in, like some days every day.
Yeah.
How are you today? How are you? I'm not okay. Yeah. Just
Yeah. Well, you know,
thank you.
it's just, you don't have to thank me. Thank you for trusting me with your heart and your feelings and your, you know, honesty. It's a big fucking thing.
It is a big thing.
But wow,
I-
a year.
I know. Here we are.
Magic thing. And you know what? In another year too, exponentially, the strength you're going to feel, it's going to blow you away. And I don't just mean in your body, I mean in your spirit and your mind. It's going to blow you away what this has done to transform you. I don't even give a shit if it's 2020 and all the rest. It's still going to be transformative for you, and it's going to continue to be.
I remember you said that it, like, the whole experience changed you, like your whole person that you are and that you became. And I was like, how can that even be? But
You see it
kind
now,
of
right?
getting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing a little bit of it, because I'm still going through so many weird things that tamoxifen is wreaking havoc with my body. I mean, it's doing
Yeah,
crazy bad things, but
yeah, I didn't have that because I didn't take it, because I have triple negative, so that isn't an indicator for it. But you know what's really interesting? It's been 11 years for me now, and I was just in the doctor's office. I'm gonna go get something fixed with my boob that I haven't wanted to go in and do for years. It got fucked up. There was a complication. I was like, I can live with this. Who's gonna
yeah.
send me away? And I just went in this past week, and the doctor was like, well, because of COVID, this is gonna have to be in 2021, but we've got you in the queue. And
Yeah.
I said then he walked down, he was so sweet. And I said to the nurse, I go, am I just being vain? She goes, no, 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 no. This is the right time for you to finally put this completely behind you. You're ready
Right.
to do this last thing. You should take this as a really good sign. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to just completely move on, face it, finally, the last demon, and to just move on completely.
It's so interesting, because I just had my like farewell appointment with my plastic surgeon, and I have an issue with the one side. It's not perfect. I had that tissue expander that had to be removed because it got infected. And so the one side is not, it's not great. But my husband and I are like, you know what? We're the only ones that see it.
Right.
In clothing, it's fine. Nobody would know. And so I wonder if I'm going to be there, like in 10 years going, oh, I should have, it has been bothering me.
No. I highly, highly doubt it. It's just I've started to have like a bit of physical discomfort that didn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm starting to have now physical signs that I need to have something fixed.
Yeah.
Just the vanity of it. That's why I was like, am I just being vain? I can live with this pain. And she was like, shut up.
Not pain.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway.
Pain isn't vanity.
Pain is your body
thing.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah. So it is October, so it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I was gonna say, okay, everyone's like, oh, shut up about the boobs already, but we should talk about it, because don't skip your appointments, don't ignore your boobie health, ladies out there listening to us. So
yeah, it's always important to tell people, but I do agree with you. Like, we don't want to talk about it too long. They
keep glaze over, like, oh my God, already. And for me, it's been a whole year of people having to listen to it. So
No, and I don't mean that nobody wants to hear it from you and what you're going through but I just mean, yeah, we should definitely talk about it, but we should definitely not make that the only thing we talk about. Because we're more than that now. We both are.
We are. Oh my God. Your books. I went back because I listened obviously to Reed Rivers because hello, Reed Rivers. My God.
I like
So
him.
good. That trilogy. And then I, of course, listened to Smitten too. But then I thought, I missed the Morgan family. I don't know where I was, like how I missed all of those. So I just went back and listened to all of them because,
Really? Oh my
yeah,
God.
because of course, Audible Escapes is, shutting down. And I was like, I need to hear everything in Audible Escape before it closes down. And that was the first thing I did. And oh my gosh, I loved them all. It was so good. But
Yeah.
I have to tell you, in Hero,
Yeah.
that one, because you narrated it,
Yeah.
and the crying in that one, I was dying. I was crying right along with you.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, the not many people, but the minority person is like saying, come on, that was so fake. And I'm like, oh my God, only see me. I was
oh God,
a naughty mess. I was so in it. And it was just so
no.
devastating to me. And I mean, pushing through crying in order to narrate was just hard, but we left it in. We could have stopped and tried again, but the producer guy was just like, no, it was real.
No, it was perfect. And I think as a wife, and oh my God, I was bawling, and I was like, oh, and families walking by and you get your earbuds in and you're and snot and you're like, just leave me, God, it was so good.
And for that book, I also went to 3 different times to the firehouse, talked to maybe 15 to 20 firefighters, went to a firefighting training session where they went into a fake fire. It was a real fire, but it was on propane gas so they could control it. And then for that chapter where Colby is stuck in a house trying to save the baby and gets stuck and talks into his radio and all that, I literally was able to say, what would you be saying into your radio right in that moment? What would you be thinking in that moment? What would your training tell you to do? And so I've had so many messages from firefighters all over the country and their wives, and their wife would say, I gave it to my husband, a firefighter, to read this chapter. And literally not a single person has ever said, you got it wrong. Every single one has said, this is the first time I've ever seen someone get it exactly right. And I can't take credit. This was like literally 20 firefighters giving me input, and I was.
But you did that legwork.
But that was the book I did the most research for by far, because it was just, I was like, I don't want to get this wrong. This would be really, really rude to these firefighters.
Right. They deserve that. So
they deserve that. So that remains one of the books I'm most proud of, just because I know how much heart I put into the research. And also I met with several widows to talk about their journey emotionally, and they all got copies of the book, and then of course messaged me and were like, well, that was exactly right. So for what it's worth, I felt like, okay, if someone's going to read a book where I'm like proud of it in terms of research, that would be the one.
Yeah, well, that was the double whammy. So it was the cop's wife, and then the
I know.
Boom, boom, boom.
I really didn't want to send Colby into that house where he was gonna get shot, because I was like, what am I doing to poor Lydia? I mean, who does this to this woman?
Authors do.
We're so despicable, aren't we? Yeah.
You're saying there now, what would be, but that's life. I mean, it's real life, because bad stuff happens to good people all the time.
And when you're an author, bad stuff happens to good people repeatedly, over and over.
Yeah, and we write about it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, no, I thought, this is so good. I really enjoyed that. I don't know. It was good. Good
I'm
stuff.
writing a dickhead right now, so if you like to read, you'll like this guy. It's fun. Because I'm smitten. I was in a really very overwhelmed mood. I wrote that during when quarantine was we're all still in it, but when we were all in it and we were
Yeah.
scared shitless,
Yeah.
that's when I wrote that. And I was like, for the life of me, I can't write a twist and a turn and an angst and anything. Granted, there's no conflict in that book. I know it. So
Yeah.
I thought this is going to get panned. It's going to be the worst book I've ever written. Nobody's going to like it. 1 stars all around. And
Because
it's like,
everyone needed that.
it's my successful book. Like, it's a huge hit. So it's just funny. People were like,
Because everyone needed to read that at that moment too. Like, that's probably as close to a sweet romance, do you think, that you've ever written?
For sure. For sure. And I won't write it again. I don't want to repeat myself.
Yeah.
I did it. It's great. But I mean, she's even a virgin. I mean, I don't do that. So
well, then so I went from that to Cat and Josh.
That's slightly different. My freak in the sheets, I love her.
The Sibian, I'm like, I have to leave the room right now.
Yeah, people like to tell me that they didn't even know that existed, and they research it and they're like, okay, Christmas list.
Well, I knew it existed, but that was way more information.
That's because I mean, I don't tell everybody this, but because I own one. So
Nice.
I didn't need a whole lot of research for that one.
Girlfriend, we're going to have a talk offline.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is to go from Smitten to Cat and Josh.
Yeah, that was crazy times there. So
yeah.
Nice. Woo,
Reed and Georgie aren't quite as freaky as Josh and Kat, but they're pretty freaky too. I just didn't get as much detail because you know what? I don't know about you, but I'm burned out. I mean, on writing, like I like writing the sex when they first get together. I like writing the sex when it's meaningful, but like I don't think I could write Josh and Kat nowadays because even though in my own mind at the time it was still meaningful sex and it meant something every time. Really, that whole second book was just them fermenting that they're both freaks, the perfect freak for each other. They both are into like at the same level, but that's it. I mean, it was just meant to be that they are both the same. And I don't think I could write that book now because it wouldn't hold my interest to write that much sex.
I think
I do write sex. You've read me. I write it, but I'm just saying, I don't know if you read all 3.
I almost think.
But I let them alone a couple times where people were like, what? Where's the detail? And I was like,
I almost think you as a writer are way past that.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. Are you on that journey too? Is that the same for you?
I think way back, like when Secrets of Stone came out, it was almost like this formula, like there has to be like at least 5 sex scenes in the book. It has to be like, that's what the readers want. The last book in Sharks, no, because I just turned in one. So the one before that was published, Grand's Heat, has 1 sex scene, and it's not until like, oh my gosh, 3/4, if not further, into the book. So that's it. 1 sex scene in the whole book.
But they love them.
It's not what the book
is. There's heat and chemistry. Yeah. They like the buildup.
Yeah.
And it just depends on the book. I mean, we can't either of us take off the table that we're never going to write a bam, bam, bam book. We may be inspired because that's what the couple demands.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like putting them in just to put them in.
I think now it's more like confidence in my own writing and knowing that the sex literally has to be about moving the story along. And it's, I'm not going to say a crutch, but it's just not part of a formula or something. So it really is about moving it along and yeah, so it just, I think it's just more confidence.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Right. I love talking to you.
I love talking to you. What are you working on now?
I haven't told anybody, but
I know you're always so secretive. You're like, I got a secret. But
yeah,
I know
I'm secretive. This is because in theory, it helps my writing if I haven't told anybody, because then I don't get messages from people. Oh, I hope you're going to do this. I hope do that. And because I usually write within my own universe, so they know sort of who these people are going to be, and they have preconceived notions. And it freaks me out to see people post what they want to see, what they think it needs to be. I don't want to disappoint. And then also, what if I'm writing and I realize it's complete shit? I get another, this has never happened, by the way.
It's never going to be shit. Yeah.
But what if it's total shit? I wake up and say, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'm going to write something completely different. And then in 6 weeks, I write the book of my life, but it's not the one I've announced. Granted, I could say, sorry, I changed my mind, whatever, but I'd rather be mysterious. And then my mind, I don't feel tethered to anything, even though it's a total facade, but that's how I like to write. I announce when I'm like I could announce now, I'm damn sure it's a trilogy. I have the covers. I have the audiobook narrator slated. I have the model from the covers to do a music video. I've written the song. I mean, this book is coming out, these books.
Yeah.
But it's fun because now people don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And it's just fun to watch them be wrong every time.
Yeah. You like watching people flap in the breeze.
They all think I'm doing 3 different things that I'm not doing.
I like it.
I just like to be mean.
I don't even let myself like try to guess like who could it be. I just like, it's okay. I'll wait and see.
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to know.
Well, of course I want to know.
So in the Reed Rivers books, you may recall that there was a party that Reed threw at his house. And there, that's where Georgina got to meet all these other artists.
You know, we're not really just you and me talking. There's a whole bunch of people listening too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So it's somebody at that party.
Oh, okay. So you're not really telling
That's what I was
me.
going to say. I'm narrowing it down for people.
Okay. Because it was a whole house full of people. That's not telling me. Somebody at that party.
Yeah. And I'm not going to commit whether that person that's at that party is the male lead or the female lead.
Oh, you know what? I know who it. No, because you already did. I was gonna say it's Aloha, but you already did her.
I already did Aloha. So anyway, that's all I'm saying. But that narrows it down. There's definitely someone in the Reed Rivers universe.
All right. I'll think about it. That's what's gonna keep me up tonight. Now, tonight when I get up at 2 a.m., it's gonna. Damn it, Lauren. Shit. Damn it, because I need another reason to be up in the middle of the night.
People are saying we won't tell, we promise.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll keep it between us. Do you have any questions yet?
I do. Do either of you have plans of writing a book where the female character goes through something similar to what you terrific ladies have been through? It might be cathartic.
I think Lauren's written a book about breast cancer.
I have already done this book.
Yeah. I'm
gonna write it down.
Yeah, it's under my real name, and I'm not in any way trying to keep the world from knowing what that is. The book is called Rocking the Pink.
Okay.
When I very first started, I don't think I was as open about who I am in terms of my real name, but now I have had so much feedback on people with breast cancer reading that book and feeling that it was so important to them and so meaningful and helped them so much that I don't really want to not mention it, because if someone needs it or is going through that, I want them to have it. So the answer is yes, I have written that book. It was the first book I ever wrote, and it's called Rocking the Pink. And I have had the blessing of then having a media tour all over the country for about 3 years, where I was the keynote speaker in a lot of kind of cancer and breast cancer events, where I got to talk to people who are going through all sorts of things and just try to motivate them to make it.
I think that would be neat, doing something like that, kind of talking, even if it was just in a little like that, maybe not keynote, but even just a little on a panel or something like that.
That too.
But I think for me, putting it into a book would almost be like doing it a disservice. I don't want to say it I don't know. It's such a big issue. Like, I wouldn't want to, like, I don't know the right words to use, because the words coming to my head don't seem right. It was like cheapen the cause by throwing it into a romance novel and go, oh yeah, and she had breast cancer. You know what I mean? It needs more than that.
And if someone out there has done that, then more power to her.
Yeah, that was right for them. For me, that's not right.
For me, I have had a lot of options to give people backstories. That I actually am lying to you, because I just lied. Because after writing Rocking the Pink, I wrote another book that was then a novel, because Rocking the Pink was a memoir. And I did write a novel. It was a YA novel, and the mom had died of breast cancer in that book. Yeah. And man, I was still actually in the throes of my own. I wasn't done. And I got through a lot of my emotions there, because in that book, I was the dead mother, essentially. And so I got to get out of all of this survivor's guilt I had. What if I hadn't survived? All these people who don't survive. And I got to imagine the life if I had not survived. It was awful to write it. I hated writing
You know,
it.
that's so interesting you bring that up, because do you think that's probably something all of us go through? That survivor's guilt?
Yes, absolutely. I have it. Don't you have it?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm like. I feel it like right here, right now, while you're talking about it. I'm like, yeah,
You know, I know so many women who have not made it, and I
I
feel
feel like
really
by not
bad
like
for
say talking about it, I'm jinxing it. I have
for
this
me.
like,
I owe it to them to then A, speak up, and B, try to make the most of my life every minute, every day. That's impossible every minute. We all are blobs occasionally, but I really try to make the most of my sunshine. And that's partly because I don't want to waste this chance I've been given that others haven't. And I know, for instance, my grandfather stormed the beach in Normandy, and he said, you know, the guy to the right died, the guy to the left died, the guy behind died, the guy in front died. And when he came home, he just was like determined to live a fucking amazing life
right,
for those guys as much
right.
as himself. And that's a heightened example, but similar. It really resonates with me to think of him telling me that.
And I think you said, maybe to other people, it sounds so not cliche, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe that you do gain this new appreciation for life when you see people dying all around you, or you know too many people that didn't get the gift that you did, and so it gives you a new appreciation for living every day, you
For me,
know.
it has. So that's what I was referring to for you too, is, and that doesn't go away, that only grows. It's possible to get to the point, the tipping point, where you kind of get far enough away where you start to forget that, and then you get back into your old habits and you aren't as grateful. And then you just have to work on really remembering and reminding yourself to get back up to that gratitude. I've been pretty good at staying at a very high level of gratitude, and I've always been that way. But I can tell you that experience skyrocketed me in terms of just being grateful and compassionate. I wasn't nearly as compassionate before breast cancer. I was nice, but I wasn't nearly as compassionate as I am and empathetic about people being in
I
tough.
have a big gaping hole where empathy belongs, and I don't know what like when when I was made, I missed that whole line. Like I skipped that line and went into another line apparently, and I don't know why that is. And I mean, I'm a mother of 2 kids, and I am just not an empathetic human being, and I don't know why that is. I have to work at that, even like with my own kids. Like when they're sick, I have to stop and go, are you feeling okay? Because normally I'm just going to go, you know what, that's too bad. You need to just get up and go, because we all have to. I'm like, oh shit, that's not very nice. You know what I mean? Because, but I don't know.
But I mean, do you feel a difference since going through breast cancer with that, or no difference?
Um, not yet, not yet. I want to, like, I have to work at it. Like, I have to remind myself that, you know, that's not very nice, and that, you know, we have to look at things differently. And so it's a growth thing. It is. It's a personal growth thing.
But like, you know that it's something you have to work on, and something you should focus on and stop, because I don't have a real problem with empathy. I have too much. I am a person who like tears up if you tell me anything. You know, they didn't have
I'm
corn
very
in
much
the store, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
way more
But
emotional.
yeah, I'm just super, but I do have other things I'm not good at. I wouldn't even say empathy is good at. I don't mean that. I just mean other things that aren't prominent in my personality, that I stop and I think, and I'm like, okay, I need to be better at this. And so as long as I'm aware of that and trying anyway, I
Right.
mean, that's all we can do. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've been your friend, and I find you're very empathetic and very kind and compassionate, and you have a huge heart.
I kind and compassionate, but yeah, the empathy thing, I don't know what happened there. I skipped that line.
Well, you obviously have it because you're a great writer. I think in some degree you have to be an empath to be a writer, because you have to put yourself in this other character's head so effectively.
I
I mean,
think
I don't
that,
know.
yeah,
I think I have to
People
put
are
my head
disagreeing with you, Victoria. They're saying you have the kindest heart and a
in
beautiful spirit, and
blah, blah,
she
blah.
says she can personally say you are not like that at all. So she
aw.
disagrees.
Well, thank you.
She just sees herself behind closed doors say to her kid, get the fuck out of bed and stop whining. But that's different. You have to be a tough ass mother sometimes.
Yeah.
That's different. I'm that too.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and it's hard like when you know what you're going through, or like you know what your day is like, and you see someone else whining, you're like, shut the fuck up. Because I had to do that too. So you're gonna be okay.
I think
Deal with it.
Fuck up too. Are you kidding? If not,
Yeah.
trust me. I think
So it's funny.
Fuck up.
Yeah. And you know how we are as mothers. You don't want your kid to be a whiner. You just want them to buck up and let's go. And I was in the military too, so it's like
I was not
that in you, and it's like
that's a difference in background for sure.
Yeah, funny. I was gonna say that before when you were talking about that firefighter thing. I had to do that when they light the fire. We had to go in it in boot camp. They light a fire like a fake
fire. You went in.
Yeah, like you have to in boot camp. It's one of the things you have to do. And I was in the Navy, so and you still got to do it because if there's a fire on a ship, and I wasn't even on a ship, but it was something we had to still go through, and you had to pass it, and you had to put on the thing, the OBA, and go through this fire. It was terrifying.
I can't imagine.
It was terrifying. Yeah. Now I'm like really claustrophobic. I wasn't as bad when I was that age, but you know, those things get worse as you get older. I think the claustrophobia is getting worse. Daily, I feel like with these masks, oh my gosh, it's getting worse by the day. And yeah, so they lit the fire and we had to go in it. And I was like, crazy, but made it through. So
that is freaking scary. I can't even imagine. I can't even get through a haunted house.
Oh, I wouldn't even go in
without losing my mind. So
yeah.
That would freak me out.
I wouldn't even do that. I would not even consider going in a haunted house now. I did when I was young. But no way.
Oh, I did it last Halloween. I have check this out. My sister has triplets who are one day older than my daughter Sophie. So it's like quadruplets.
Yeah.
They're like 16 hours apart. 2 boys, a girl, and then I have my girl. So there's 2 girls and 2 boys. So I always, my whole life, been fun auntie, fun mommy. And I'm like, let me take you guys to Disneyland. Let me take you to the haunted house. Let me take you to here. And I'm always like spending the money on them and taking them to fun places. And all they have to do is let me come with them. And so I took them last year to the Halloween haunted house. And oh my God, the 2 boys were as big of pussies as me. That was the funniest part. Us 3 were huddled going, the whole time. It was like one of my favorite memories of my whole life is going through this haunted house with these guys. They were screaming at the top of their lungs. They were all, 19?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
You were thinking they're going to be like 11 in this story, right?
Yeah. No, it was last year.
It was so, but anyway, that's how I found out that yes, I'm still scared of haunted houses. Like the really good ones with the really good makeup, and then they pop out and your mind knows it's not real, obviously, but the fear is real. It is real. Oh, it scares me. Really scares me.
That if I'm in the kitchen and I'm not expecting someone to walk in behind me and my husband says, hey, are we out of milk? I go, ah! Like, just, it's crazy.
I'm the same way.
So crazy.
So my reactions are so big.
And then
if someone did not know me well, they would think I was just constantly like thinking I'm on candid camera and preparing my reactions, fake reactions. It's real though, but I'm so big. My reactions are so big that they're stupid. Yeah, me too. God, it's freezing in my house. I'm in San Diego.
I would never believe that.
And I'm like huddled up.
I have a turtleneck on and a sweater. And I'm just up the street from you.
I know. And it's warm outside, I think. So I don't know what the hell's wrong with us.
My son just got back from the beach.
That's funny. What are you writing? What are you up to?
I just turned into the editor I'm trying to think what number it is. The 5th book in the Shark's Edge series, and that's going to be 15 books. It's a 15-book series. So that's just going to go on for a while. So they were so kind, Waterhouse, to put it on hold, while I was dealing with the breast cancer stuff. So it just had a lull, just a little whoopsie lull there, so I could focus on getting healthy again. And so that may be the longest it's ever taken me to write a book.
Well, understandable. I think
yeah, that took a year.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sure
it was really hard to kind of.
They know, they care about you more than they care about the book. At least I like to think.
Well, and luckily, because they've been wonderful. The readers have been wonderful.
Well, I
luckily
seeing all the love
we came out of the gate, so it's been amazing. I mean, it has been amazing. That blew my mind. It really did.
Aww.
The gifts and the cards and the well wishes. I was just like, what is this? Is great.
Yeah. Aren't people kind?
Yeah.
They're so sweet. This is the thing about our reader community that blows me away, is just how thoughtful and generous people are, and how much they genuinely care about us and each other.
The love in their hearts, the outpouring. It's crazy.
It's so kind. Thank you. It's so kind. I mean,
no kidding.
People on the outside of our community couldn't possibly understand either. They don't understand. I don't know how to explain it.
No, you can't really even explain it to other people. It sounds like, I don't know. I don't even know. Like my family, in this house, obviously they know because they live it with you. But like my next family, like my sisters, my siblings, my parents and stuff, they're like, what is going on? This stuff keeps coming in, you know what I mean? Getting delivered to the house. And every day my husband would come home with packages. And I kept saying, I was joking around, after my surgery, I was like, did you bring anything? Joking around with him, what did you bring? What am I going to do when it's over? Where are my gifts? Who's going to bring the gifts?
So nice.
So, yeah. It was crazy.
And at Christmas time, people from all over the world send these beautiful cards and presents. And it's so overwhelming sometimes that someone sat in Germany and thought to write a card and send it across the world to an author. And then they'll say, I was very sick this year and I read all your books and they were my friends. And then you go, oh my gosh, wow.
Right. Or they saved me, words like that. They saved me. And you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Okay. I'm going right back to my laptop right now because that just gave me the motivation. Exactly. I'm not really that tired. I can go do it more. I'll go do more.
Exactly. Because, I don't know if readers out there who might be watching this don't realize it's not a lot, but we get tagged on negative reviews. We don't just see the negative reviews. We literally get tagged on them. So we click because we've been tagged, and it's something that says basically, my dog could write a better book than this or whatever. We get some negative feedback sometimes that we're really not looking for, but we can't avoid. And so those little pep talks that come in the form of, your basic review, but also just these other ways people reach out to say how much something we wrote touched them. Man, does that get me going to go back up to my laptop, because I can have a little bit of a wobble after seeing something really bad. Even if my brain tells me ignore it, it doesn't matter. My mojo's then thrown off. I feel like, I just don't feel confident. And then somebody will say they don't even know that they've changed everything, that they've put me right back in the right headspace, and they have done so much for my creativity, and I'm right back in the zone. And that's because of you guys. It's because of you guys.
It does. It's that their words are as powerful as our words are.
Yep, exactly.
I found the little trick, you've seen actors do those funny reading bad reviews. How they do it?
Those mean tweets.
I was doing that the other day because I was reading a 1-star review, and I said, if I could give this 0, I would do it. Or, I mean, it was something awful like that. I'm like, that is really mean.
Yeah.
Why would you say that? But that's what it said. If I could give this, no, it said, I am so glad I didn't pay for this book. And I'm like, that is so nice.
So mean. Well,
Okay, I hope you feel better now.
Yeah, okay. I mean, people are entitled their opinions, but they get pretty, sometimes they get pretty darn mean.
Yeah, now you're just being mean. I don't know. Okay. But I was like reading it to someone and I was doing that, like making it funny, and it took the bite out of it. But now that I'm saying it, I guess it didn't, because it was not nice.
Yeah.
That's just mean. But anyway, so that's
the vast majority are not mean. The vast majority.
Yeah, because
very,
that was
very
the
nice.
only 1 star. So I feel okay about that.
Yeah. So the thing about me, in addition to being an author, is, you know, I've narrated so many of my own books. Yeah. And I was a narrator before I wrote my first Lauren Rowe book. I narrated other authors. So I had a career as a narrator. So I had a lot of confidence in that when it came time for me to narrate my own books. But guess what's happened to me over time? My confidence is so low because people can be so mean, and when they see that it's the same name narrating as the author, they have a preconceived they think I just have an ego and that I didn't want to pay for a pro.
I was gonna say that you like cheaped it out and you just
and so people will just, man, if you want to see mean, then go to Audible and look at some of the reviews of my narration. It's ruthless in a way that's not even there for the reviews on the books themselves. And so for a while, I'll be honest, there were business reasons as well. I wanted to pay more attention and not have to be diverted and be able to focus on the books themselves. And there's such great narrators, and I thought I'll diversify, all good business reasons. But one piece of the pie, if I'm being completely honest, and this is the first time I've said it out loud, I never have admitted this, was just my confidence had taken too big a hit. And I thought, why am I subjecting myself to this?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who love my narration and have told me so, and that gives me such a boost. But it almost wasn't enough. It's, to be honest, for a while anyway, I need a break, because the boost isn't enough as what drags me down. Because if I'm going to get dragged down on my narration, then they're also going to throw in, and she ruined her book, and her book sucks, and she sucks dick, and all this. So then I was like, well, this is fucking up my writing mojo. So I have to pick. So I picked Writing Mojo, and then I've been great, and I have the best narrators for the Read and Smitten, and I have narrators lined up for the new ones. So I'm all good. But I have never admitted to anyone. People have asked me many, many times on Facebook, why aren't you narrating anymore? And I always just go, and don't answer, or say business reasons.
Yeah.
And here, the person might have been admitting, partly I'm just too fragile an ego. It hurt my feelings too much. And you know, and again, I'm not, it's any narrator is a personal choice, and not everyone has to love my narration. But I'm saying the idea that people say, hire a pro for fuck's sake, you know, authors should never narrate. And I'm like, if you only knew the career I have, fuck you. Fuck you. You don't like me, but treat me the same as a pro that you would tell is sucko. You don't have to tell me that I'm an author with an equal
I love, Lauren, when you're narrating and you do this thing and you're, so it's obviously the character, and I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know how. I have to think of like something, and you're like, and you get all excited, and then, oh my God, it makes me laugh. I laugh every time. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like your voice goes, and the cadence goes up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's killing me.
And you know what? It's because I'm reading my own books. This is some people, I deserve criticism because I get so into reading my own books. Like I go, my heart rate, yes, I get so excited. I make myself laugh. I laugh so hard.
Fun.
Like, but like Ball Peen Hammer as an example. Maddie finds Keen so funny, only because I find
Keen so funny.
And I literally crack up in the narration and can barely get through. And we had to start and stop and go over again because I was busting out.
Like your voice gets right up in here. It's like right up in here. You know what I mean?
Not to laugh.
Oh, I love it. I just love it.
I know, but some people, you know what you love, one woman's treasure is another woman's treasure.
That right there. I'm like an audiobook junkie. So I'm like,
am too. I love audiobook. I love actually all genres. I'm listening to Untamed right now by Glennon Doyle, and that's a self-help book. And it's just about, it's called Untamed because in the prologue, she talks about taking her daughter to this weird zoo, and the big thing was a cheetah run. And I'm just going to really, it's in the prologue, so I'm not giving a spoiler.
Yeah.
So she takes her kid to the zoo, and they're going to watch this cheetah run, and they bring out a Labrador retriever that was used to tame the cheetah. The Labrador runs after a truck that's dangling this pink bunny, and it runs, right? And the cheetah's been watching the Labrador run after this pink bunny its whole life. So then it knows to, when it's its turn, it runs like 80 miles per hour after the pink bunny and then gets a steak. And this author was like, this is the prologue, because she realized that this cheetah has been tamed to be like a Labrador retriever when its very nature is to be untamed, to be wild. Right. And after the cheetah run, they put it in its pen, and the entire demeanor of the animal changes and is looking beyond the fence. It was raised in captivity. It had never been in the wild. And her point was, in its own cellular structure, it knows it's meant for something more. It knows it's meant to be untamed. It knows it's meant to be more than chasing pink bunnies and having a steak thrown at it.
Right.
And so it's just talking about unleashing that untamed wildness within all of us. And as a writer, of course, that's what I'm always searching for, is this creativity where I'm not worried what someone thinks, where I'm being honest in my writing, whether it's fiction or not. You still have to be honest, like the Sibian, that type of thing in Josh and Kat, how far I went with explaining that experience for her. Well, that's honesty right there.
Right.
That's real honesty.
Right.
And so you have to learn to be untamed in your writing and untamed in your life. So anyway, I'm reading this book and I'm fucking digging it. So I'm a huge audiobook person as well. And I love fiction and I love romance, but I love books that help me see the world in another way and keep my motivation high too. What do you listen to?
What am I listening to right now?
Yeah.
I am listening to Submission by C.D. Reese.
Ooh, I love her.
She's gifted.
I know.
I'm just like, I'm done with this career. I'm done leaving.
I feel that way too when I listen to CD. When I listen to so many authors, I'm like, what am I even doing?
I'm exiting the building. It's over.
Yeah. That's how I feel too. Marriage Games. I listened to that on audio. That was good.
I mean, her writing is.
I know. It's so.
I'd never listened to or read anything of hers up to this point, and
She's damn good, and she's in a fucking. She's a good friend, actually. I hope she feels the same about me. I adore her. She's amazing. But she's another one. There's writers where I just go, I have no.
And I know she is or studied film, right? First?
I believe so. No, fashion industry.
You see the you can see that in the writing. The
writes very visual.
Yeah. It's on a whole different level.
I know.
Different level.
Fucking bitch.
I know. Damn it. It's not like she's listening to this. My God.
I say it to her face.
You guys can get people saying, I'm glad I didn't pay for this book.
That's right. Yeah. No, she gets it too. We all get it. It doesn't matter who you are in this business, how good you are.
I'm sure there's somebody.
You get the reviews that tell you suck a bag of dicks.
Yeah. Good stuff. So I've been enjoying the heck out of that.
Good stuff. Yes. Cool. Fun.
So what else you got, Megan? Because we're just going to keep talking here unless you jump in.
You guys have actually been answering a lot of the questions just naturally. So that's been
really cool. Tell us some of the questions we answered. I'm curious.
Yeah.
What is next up in grants? What are both of you working on right now? And the other question I have, which I'm excited to ask because I know, Victoria, you have a new release date. What are the release dates for both of your next releases?
Do you have your releases? Grant's Flame is February 9th. And then Grant's Blaze is May 4th. Yeah. Pulled that out of my ass.
I have no idea.
You don't even say that. This mystery woman here.
No, I mean, it's going to be early-ish 2021. Same as you, around the same time as you. I have a date that I have committed to on my end of things, but I don't like to announce until I don't know. I just don't like to tell people.
Mystery woman.
But this time, I will tell this secret that nobody's heard yet. I think this time I am going to do long pre-orders for the book. And so you'll know soon what my dates are. I mean, it's no business sense, but I just don't like to commit until I'm 100% sure of everything. I hate the idea of putting anything off. I hate the idea of changing anything, over promising. I like to under promise and over deliver. And what I've learned over time is by under promising, what I really mean is not promise at all.
Yeah. I like that.
Pretty much it. But
well,
yeah.
then you don't have the pressure and you don't have to let anybody down.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, the books are going to be what they're going to be, whether people are anticipating them or not. I need to do some anticipation level, but really, if they anticipate for 2 months versus 4, there's not that big a difference in terms of who's going to want to read my books. And that extra 2 months I get myself where nobody's talking about what I'm writing and what's it going to have in it. As much as I love them to do that, I also don't, while I'm writing, I don't want to see it. Then I'll freak out that I'm not going in that direction and it's not going to fulfill their fantasies and I'm going to suck and they're going to hate it. Once it's written, because once I write it, I love it. I love it. Then they can say whatever they want because I know, ha ha ha, even if it doesn't say that, you're still going to love what I wrote. But if I haven't written it yet, now I'm going in all these different directions trying to please people because I'm kind of by nature a people pleaser and I've been trying to get over that my whole life. And I don't want to have to feel like I have to please people or else my muse won't work.
When do you normally know who the next book is going to be about? Like, do you know? Like, I think it usually jumps out at you pretty early who's speaking to you next. It's coming out. Plus, you have to kind of work it out. You have to work them in, right? Like, they have to start surfacing a little harder than everyone else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, I already knew what the next 2 after what I'm writing are going to be. And I thought that was the order. But then after Smitten, as I said, Smitten was a surprise hit for me and people really loved it, which was a thrill. Like I said, there's no conflict. So I was shocked. People loved it and I was so grateful. But Colin, Fish's bandmate.
Right.
Pretty big part. And he also played a part in Rockstar. And I always knew I'd write a book about Colin, but after Smitten, I really got a bunch of people begging me for Colin's book. Well, I'm not writing Colin's book right now, but then I realized I should probably do that while the iron is hot, etc. So he got smooshed to the top of the queue. Will he stay there? Not if he doesn't scream loud enough. If someone else screams louder than him, this is why I also don't announce, because I want to write the best book I can. And that book is always the one that's screaming the loudest. Always. Not the one that people want, not the one that I should write. The one that's screaming is the one I write. And it's never
Colin.
Very angry. Yeah,
I think.
He is. And he needs time because anytime I write more angsty guys, they take more time for me. It's much easier for me to write a really happy-go-lucky person like Keen Morgan, happy-go-lucky, really easy. They're not complicated. Fish was really easy to write. But if someone's angsty and complicated and kind of guarded in their approach to life and they're guarding their heart, etc., that's harder for me because I'm not that way. So it takes me, like Reed, it took me a while to figure out what his story was going to be. Once I got it, I wrote that thing really fast, all 3 books back to back, super fast. But it took a long time to figure out who is he? I mean, who is he really? Not just who do people think he is, but also more importantly, who is she? Who's going to be deserving to catch this guy's eye who's positive he never wants to get married, positive he never wants to have a relationship.
Right.
She better be someone pretty damn special. That often is what really stumps me, is figuring out who is this woman that's going to bring this guy to his knees. I mean, convincingly, where I can write where you believe that.
Right. That's the trick because, so we're in this industry where it's been told over and over and over again. So what do you bring to your story that isn't so overdone, like where the reader's like, oh, I know,
Yeah.
It has to be something, there's got to be something in your story that's just a little different, you know?
Sure.
So,
I used to push back against the idea of tropes early on because I felt like, oh, been there, done that, everyone's seen it. And then I realized, no, I can take a trope but just make it my own. I
mhm,
can bring something original to it. I can bring me to it, my
yeah,
spin on it. And then it's different. And then I started realizing like every movie in the history of time is a trope.
life is a trope.
There's
Yeah,
life is a trope. There's nothing original out there. The thing that
no,
makes it original is my personality. The jokes I'll make in that, for instance, again, going back to Ball Peen Hammer, it's a road trip. It's When Harry Met Sally, essentially. There's nothing original about that, except guess
yeah,
what? It's totally original because Keen Morgan and then put him with Maddie Morgan, whatever her name is, Maddie Milliken.
yeah,
That's original because those two people are the only two people in the world that would combust that way in a car. But
right.
you know what I mean? So I finally got peace with it. But I did bristle a little bit at first, like, oh, I don't want to just be like everybody else. I have to be original. And now I'm like, I am original
Right.
by
Who
being me.
is your favorite Morgan brother?
My favorite Morgan brother.
Mhm.
Oh, it's so hard because I love them all so much and
Yeah, they're all so different.
they're really different. I took great pains to make sure I never duplicated anything in terms of just really giving them their own voices and personalities. The one that springs to mind is always Keen, just because he's so weird and I really am super
He's
weird.
funny, and you're so funny.
I love funny men and I love goofy men. I love men who aren't worried about being cool, and he doesn't know cool. I mean, he couldn't be cool if he, had to be to save his life.
Yeah.
And I like that.
He
Of
says the
course.
dumbest things, and it's so funny.
Oh,
You're like, oh my God.
so annoying. I
Oh,
love him so much. I did make a bit of a mistake with that book because my idea was, oh, I'm going to make him such a douchebag to start. And we're going to see him through Maddie's eyes. So we're going to start by hating him and thinking he's a douchebag and rolling our eyes. And against our own will, just like Maddie, we're going to fall in love with him by the end. Well, the problem is I did that too well and I got all these DNFs in the beginning. People wouldn't give it a shot because they were like, I hate him, he's a douchebag, moving on. And I was like, but oh, wow, is that how this works? Because I didn't know that that's how romance readers were back
I'm
then.
trying to think
Like a while ago.
because I just thought he was funny the whole time.
I did too. I thought he was amazing the whole
Yeah.
time. But I'm just saying there's a subset that didn't give him the time of day
Yeah.
and moved on. And then luckily word spread and people gave him another chance or picked it back up because a friend told him. And now it's been by far one of my biggest hits. So, but originally I was like, oh, is that how that works? I can't make that big of a dick. Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
And then to answer your question though, I mean, like, this is such a political answer, but like Ryan Morgan, for instance, I don't know if you've read Captain, but he's
Yeah, I read them all.
oh, I don't know. He's
Yeah.
got some serious game, that one. And like,
Yeah.
he's my desert island pick, faux show.
Yeah.
Faux show. And
Yeah.
then Colby is like marriage material, like times a bazillion.
Yeah.
But he's not the guy I'd really pick in real life because he's too boring for me.
Yeah, I can say
he's a little boring.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a good guy and he'll take care of everybody and he's a sweetheart. So I can't fault him, but he's boring for me. I wouldn't pick.
Right.
I'd pick someone with a little more spice. And then Dax is most like me in terms of how he's just so like constantly overthinking and like so deep and all that. That's actually how I am. So it's very annoying to be with me. I'm constantly like thinking of existentialism and that's him. But he's also adorable and cute. But I guess if I really, really had to pick, I would go with Keen and Ryan sandwich. And I'd be a happy girl. And I mean, Xander's a brother, but I definitely would go with those two.
Yeah. I think I'd go with Ryan.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, he's got that little package, secret package in there, that piercing that I'm like, wow.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that.
Oh, that's why.
I actually forgot about that. Oh yeah.
No, I like him for other reasons too, but
yeah.
He's hot. I think he's hot.
Yeah. I like him all around.
Me too. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I like him. I think I like him the best. I liked Dax's, the way he just fell so hard for her. Oh my God.
Yeah, he fell really hard.
Yeah, the way he did with the songs and how they all came to him and he was writing them and he was just I love that. I love when a guy just gets so head over heels for that, head over heels in love, like, you know, starry-eyed, like you see the cartoon with the stars in the eyes.
No,
I
I
love that.
I've talked to so many men who have that experience in life, more than women. Men, way more than women, in my experience, fall so fucking
Yes.
hard. They meet someone and they're like, that's my wife. And I mean, they lose their minds. And then, you know, again, I hate to be bashing on people who don't like Insta love in books. Maybe they just don't like unconvincing Insta love in books, but men really do fall Insta hard in this world. I have seen it many times. So that's why it's easy for me to write, because I believe it exists.
I
Just
think
like
it
that.
exists. Yeah.
I really do.
I do think it exists. So I don't know. I'm a sucker for love. That's why I write romance, but that's why I always say it when people say, you know, what made you start doing this? I love love. I love it. I love
it so much. I'm such a sucker.
Sucker for love.
I love it. I
Oh,
love it.
I love it. No, I love it. I love it.
I love it.
I do.
Okay, you do.
No,
I give it to you.
no, I do.
We do.
We do. Yes, we do. I want to go. So when I'm so bummed you're not going to be narrating your next book, because I really, really, really want to come and watch you narrate something, because I want to see the process. I want to see how it happens.
You would find it very interesting, I think.
I really would. I love the nuts and bolts of things. I love to see process. It's the accountant in me. I love process. And so I would love to just know how that all goes down.
Oh, when I get back, I will get back to it. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it. It's just that for a bit here, I'm doing the Reed Rivers world proper. You know, all my characters are in the same universe, but in my mind, this is a spin-off series. That's the Reed Rivers series, and it's kind of like everything in this one little section. And I've decided,
well, like Morgan Brothers.
Yes. And so in my mind, I've decided that while I'm in that specific world, that I'm going to find other narrators, simply because then that makes sense to me. That all goes together. Whereas if I start a new world or a new, you know, part of that world, then I may go back and then be the female voice there. I'm not saying I'll never do it, is what I'm saying. I just needed a break for a variety of reasons. I needed to get my confidence back, and I needed to also diversify, because let's be honest, by having these amazing narrators that I've hired, I have attracted a lot of new listeners that did not know I existed, because they follow Jacob Morgan, or they follow Tim Page, or they follow Andy Arndt. And that has been a really good business decision for me, not gonna lie.
And obviously both of those narrators you named are so good. There are so many good narrators.
Good. They are so good. And I love, like in Smitten, I mean, having Tim, for instance, and having the music in there. Tim, he is Fish. He just is.
He is so good. And I didn't.
So good.
When you hear him talk and then he narrates, it's like, what just happened? It's so totally different.
Like magic.
Yeah.
He texted me while he was narrating, and he was like, I feel this character deep in my bones. Finally, someone who represents like guys like me. Because if you haven't read the book out there, Fish is not an alpha. He's just this nice guy who doesn't get the girl, and he doesn't really have all the slick moves. So now I feel like I've maybe maligned Tim, because I told you he said that represents him, but he said he really felt Fish, and just really was excited to do a character that felt really authentic to him. Not to say he doesn't love all the other ones, he does too, but it was just a nice break.
Right.
Anyway, that made me feel really good. And when I heard the performance, I cried, because it was just so good. And also, Andy, if I was going to give my books to someone else, you know, my voice is a little weird and a little quirky, and my humor is a little weird. And so I was like hopeful that she would get it. And man, does she get it. She really understood me. So yeah. I was glad about that. It all worked out. It's all good.
Yeah.
But people do keep asking me, why aren't you narrating? When are you going to narrate? And I feel like I'm letting some people down, and I feel bad about that, but I'll get back to it.
Yeah. Your regular fans that come with you with the whole thing, then it changes. You're like, wait, why? Yeah.
What happened? And I get that. And I'm not going to lie, that also makes me feel good that people are missing me. That's nice. Who doesn't want to be missed?
Right.
but I hope they understand. It's a good break. Sometimes it's a good break. And I've been really productive in the break in terms of writing. So it's all good.
Yeah. What else you got, Megan?
Well, I wanted to read some comments because you guys aren't seeing what people have been saying.
Right.
First of all, earlier everyone was saying you both are so brave and thank you so much for sharing, so much of your story. But someone else said your books bring joy to my life, so thank you for what you do.
Aw.
And I love this live. I have a new love for you ladies. This feels so up close and personal. A question I got for you, Lauren, is what wine are you drinking and what's your favorite wine?
I am drinking Pinot Grigio, and my favorite wine is Pinot Grigio. Why would I be drinking anything other than my favorite wine, darling?
That's
Darling,
my favorite wine
short.
also.
Darling, don't drink anything other than your favorite wine.
What's the best reading order of your books, Lauren?
Oh,
here we go.
Fuck. Good.
I know.
Question. Here's the problem, dude, is I don't even write them in chronological order. So there's a lot. This is a very hot topic. I will tell you this, and you're going to hear people give you opinions right and left about the right reading order for my books. And you're hearing it from the source right now. They're wrong. They're not wrong. They're right, but they're not right. There are so many interpretations. You can do it any way you want. Here's what I think. Like, this is sincere. People have started with Smitten. It's a standalone, one book to see if you like my writing style. But as I've mentioned, that's a really nice guy and there's not a whole lot of angst there. In fact, there's no angst. So what if you're like, no, I don't want that? Well, then you would start with Reed Rivers. It's a trilogy and it's like super alpha a-hole, tons of angst. But what if you're like not into like a trilogy to see if you want to read me? Well, then you could go start with Hero, which is the first book of the Morgan brothers. And you could kind of see the characters there. And if you like those are 5 standalone books: Hero, Captain, Ball Peen Hammer, Mr. Bodyguard, and then Rockstar. But do you want to hear something really crazy? I didn't write them in that order. They are listed in that order: Hero, Captain, Ball Peen Hammer, Mr. Bodyguard, Rockstar. They were not written in that order. I wrote them Ball Peen Hammer, Captain, Hero, Mr. Bodyguard, Rockstar. So that when Ball Peen Hammer came out, you have to understand that was a standalone book with no other books. It was not listed as part of a series. The whole world read it. It was a huge hit. And then out of nowhere, Captain, which is actually before it happens before it on the timeline, came out. Then what happens? I wrote Hero, which is kind of congruent with Captain. Okay. So now to someone coming new to me, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I'm just letting you know you can actually truly read any of these in any order. You just need to know you're going to be hopping around in a chronology, and some people hate that. And so I'm letting you know that's the chronological order. And then I have the Club trilogy and the Josh and Kat trilogy and an epilogue book, which all happened before the Morgan brothers. And so you, in theory, if you're one of these people who wants to start before anything else happens, you got to start with the Club obsession and read all of those. But you don't have to enjoy the other books. And in fact, you could then go back and see them as kind of prequels, backstory, origin story books. See? Sorry.
Yeah. So if you like chronological order,
then you go to the Club obsession.
Yeah.
You would read the Club
and
trilogy.
It's on your website. It's listed in chronological order.
I could have just
the
said
way
that. Or in rowbooks.com.
Yeah. And it, I'm a chronological order kind of girl, but again,
You did not read my books in chron order.
No, I started, the first thing I ever read was the Club.
Oh, so you did.
And we were at a book signing and I stayed in the hotel room and I read that fucking book until I was done with it, because I was like, oh my God. I wanted Jonas Faraday for myself. I actually messaged you. I didn't know you. I was just like, oh my God, this book, I love him. I love your writing. And you are a San Diego girl. Hello, what's going on?
That's right. And we were supposed to go to lunch. We never did.
Well, life is crazy. Yeah. And I mean, that was how many years ago? And then, so I read all of those, and then I didn't read Josh and Kat's books. I don't even know where the hell I went from there. Who the hell knows what happened? Because I just listened to the Morgan.
But see,
No,
for
I must have
people
read Josh and
listening,
Cat, and then I just listened to Morgan Brothers. I feel like I didn't know all the Morgan Brothers were like Ball Peen Hammer and all. Like I saw you coming out with all those books, but it didn't click into
but
me.
you don't know that they all go together.
It
But the
didn't
thing
click
is-
that those were Cat's brothers.
Right. In the Josh and Cat trilogy, she goes home and brings Josh home in the third book. And at the table are all her brothers, which are then the
Right.
Morgan brothers. And
Yeah.
so that's why I think it's fun for people to, if they met me, they first read me as a Morgan Brothers author, then they go back to that and they're like, whoa, here they are. They're all sitting. And you know what's really fun for me, if I do say so myself, when you go all the way back to that trilogy and meet them for the first time, they're all themselves. If
Yeah.
you know them well because of the Morgan Brother books
Yeah.
and then go back, you're like, dude, they all sound exactly like they're supposed to sound.
You've stayed very true to all those.
Yeah.
Like you knew who they were from the get-go.
Who they were from the
Had them
get-go.
down. Did you?
I wrote very detailed character studies while writing the Josh and Cat books. I couldn't figure out who Cat had to be that crazy freak in the sheets woman with, she's like nobody I've ever had written before. I have since written Georgina for Reed, and I feel like they're cut of the same cloth. But at the time I had never written anybody quite like Cat. And so I sat down and I go, why would she be like this? And so I mapped out her entire family early on. And that's when I knew I was going to write the Morgan Brothers books next. So I already had everything plotted out really well.
Yeah.
That's why
And it made so much sense that Cat is the girl she is because she grew up with 4 brothers.
Yes.
I don't think Georgie and Cat are anything alike.
They're not. I saw you go, oh, when you said it. But what I mean is I had not written someone so sex positive and so sure of her sexuality and so
okay with
assertive. And so I don't think they're anything alike either. Georgina is a completely different bird. But in that sense, I had written more of the typical heroine for a romance novel who's just a little bit more reserved and submissive maybe, or like, has, a little more vulnerable, I guess. Although Georgina is very vulnerable, so I don't know what I was thinking. And so
but she's very independent and strong and but she's still she's a good mix. She's good. She's very real. Georgina, I think, is very real. She's like a lot of women we probably all know or are.
I agree. I feel like, I've been doing this for a while now. And so for me, I just keep evolving and being more and more honest and also not wanting to repeat myself. So I'm constantly trying to come up with another character who is unique and a new person. And when I hit on, okay, Reed's woman's going to be Georgina. I would not have thought I'd write an age gap. It's not normally my thing for whatever reason. But then I realized, oh, she has to be younger. She has to be all of the things that she is in order for this to work. I don't know why, but she does.
Yeah.
And the minute I hit on her, then I wrote the books without pause.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I just felt like, I really think if I had to be honest, Georgina's probably my favorite female that I've ever written. I just love her.
She's very identifiable. Like people can identify with her. Do you pants or plot?
Pants with a tiny sprinkle of plot. I know scenes I want to hit. I write them down in an outline.
You're like, Helen, I can't understand you wild beasts. I don't get it. I don't get it.
But I do have a mixture. I mean, I just plotted these books I'm writing right now with a chapter heading and what basically happens in the chapter, and it's all written.
Yeah.
But I am so used to that. That's not going to be what it winds up being.
Well, sure. It never really does.
No. So going back to Ball Peen Hammer, here's an example. As I mentioned, it's a road trip. And there's a plot point in there that, so I was early on in writing this book, Victoria, and I really just knew it was a road trip and I had a general idea of what's going to happen when they get there. So I have this cousin who lives in Seal Beach, California, which is a very surfer town. And and I mean, like, they really do like talk like that.
My one heroine lives there,
Yeah. So I write songs in addition to writing books. And at the time I was writing quite a bit of songs with this cousin of mine who is a professional musician and writes a lot of songs. And he was asking me to write the lyrics for it, and we were going back and forth with stuff. And he goes, and he hadn't given me my stuff, and we had a deadline, and he hadn't given me his portion for me to do mine. So I get a text from him and it says, sorry for my, this is a quote, sorry for my laggery, dude. I've been stretched like an Abba Zaba lately, work hard, play hard.
Yeah, that's where it came from.
And I was in the middle of writing the book or beginning of writing the book. And I was like, that's going right into my book. And I'm saying that. And so I literally put his text word for word. And he said, sorry for my laggery. I'm stretched like an abba lately, work hard, play hard. And then the minute he said that, Maddie says, and I didn't know she would say this, but it's because I'm a pantser. She says, abba zaba, what the fuck is an abba zaba? And that's when all of a sudden he goes, you don't know what an abba zaba is. And as a minor plot point, they're looking for an abba zaba for her to break her abba zaba virginity on the road trip. And it's a thing and it's a plot point. And then they taste one. And well, I didn't know that was going to happen. And if I hadn't received that text, it wouldn't have. And so what I have to do is just be open to hearing bits of conversation or funny, weird things. And they aren't necessarily even just a thing that goes in this big. It may take me over here. And then I have to skip the entire outline or 4 chapters that don't work.
No, that's how it all, I think that's how we all do it. I'm with you right there.
No, some write a detailed outline and stick to it. Can you believe
that's not fun.
No, but they do. I've talked to many and they do. They're very detailed and then they don't veer off of it. I don't know how that's possible.
So Angel and I, we write together, as you know, and we call it an organic outline. So it, subject to change at any time.
Do you just like tag team each other? Like you send your chaptering, now your turn, go. And then
no, we I write the whole thing and then she goes in when I'm done and adds stuff into it.
Oh, so you write every chapter together?
No, I write the whole thing myself and then she goes in when I'm done and adds stuff into what I've already written.
The whole thing, you mean a chapter though? You don't mean the whole book?
No, I mean the whole book.
What? You write the whole book?
Yeah.
What? Wait a minute. What? You write the whole book and then you send it to her and then she says, wait, what if we did this? And then you guys rewrite.
No, like we'll plot the thing out together, like the whole book in general. And then I write it and then she goes in, like usually it's broken down into chapter because sending a whole book would be crazy, So chapter by chapter, then she'll go through. But like this last one, I didn't even look at the stuff she added until it was all done. And then I went back through. And then
I've never done a co-write before, so I don't know how that works. I think it sounds
in the way beginning, we did every other chapter, but we only did that for like 4 books. And then the rest we did this way.
Well, whatever you're doing is working for you.
Yeah. So
that's great. How great that you have found each other too, and that you vibe like that.
Yeah, it's a different thing, different, way of doing it. I don't know if anybody else does it that way.
Do you feel like it takes the pressure off to have a co-writer, or do you think it adds pressure in some ways? Or, I mean, you've written solo and you've written co-write. So like what?
Yeah, it's different. The whole thing is different. It's a different experience. Well, kind of, because there's always someone, to bounce stuff off of, that knows what the plot is, what the story is, so if there's like something that I get stuck on when I'm writing it, originally, then I can go and say, hey, I don't know about this one part. I think maybe, it's not working out or whatever, but yeah, so there is, it's always nice to have somebody else to bounce stuff off of. So it's like having a peer reviewer right there with you.
Yeah, that would be nice. Sometimes if I get stuck, it takes me 3-4 days to work.
Yeah, it can be lonely, so.
Oh, yeah, it can be lonely. Yeah. But awesome when you do come up with the solution. Something so simple.
Yeah.
What I'm writing right now, for instance, I thought I was writing a solo standalone book. And then I realized that I was writing book 2. It wasn't a standalone, it was book 2. So then I had to go back and write, now it's what I'm writing right now is book 1. And I already know what happens with book 3. But like, I truly thought I was writing a standalone. Turns out that I woke up one day and went, oh my God, I have to write an entire book before all of this happens.
Oh, like they have too much. There's too much
backstory.
Yeah.
I can't
skip over it. or go light on it. It needs to be there.
I needed to show it. I needed it to be present tense versus a flashback, or you remember when, and I just mentioned it. So then I was like, oh, and then once I made that decision, then it was like a tsunami broke inside of me. And I'm so enthralled with book 1. But how weird to be writing for months and it turns out it's book 2. Well, that's cool because book 2 is written and I know the characters really well now. So book 1 is going really fast, but
good for you to be so like committed to your craft and like honest with yourself to say, I'm not gonna like shortchange this story. I'm gonna go do the work.
Yeah,
I like that. I appreciate that, you know, just to be committed to the craft like that. That's, I think, because I think some authors would probably just phone it in and go, fuck it, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to, you know, not do this story the, you know, the service that it needs.
Exactly. But see, if I had told everybody what I was writing and given a date and all of that, maybe I would have felt pressure.
Right.
Not be able to do it the way I'm doing it. So I know myself. I mean, I do it the way I do it. I cannot work for anybody. This is what it turns out. I just have to be free to just float around.
You're a free bird. I get it.
Yeah. So yeah, but I'm excited. God, I love you. You're a doll.
I love you. I'm so glad you were my mystery guest tonight. This is awesome.
So fun. I've loved talking to you. It's so weird to think people are watching us talk because I feel like there's no edit.
I'm just sitting here like, wow, this is so cool.
The funny thing is, I can tell you really, truly, nothing would be different if we were not being overheard.
No.
Literally.
What do you mean? There's people here? I don't even know.
The only thing that would have been different is I would have narrowed down who I was writing. But other than that, that's it. That's the only thing I would have said.
Yeah, you tell me.
I almost told you, but then I remembered. You were like, oh yeah. That's it. So fun.
I know we have to go soon, but Lauren, which book is Georgina from?
The Reed Rivers trilogy, and that starts, this just happens to be on my desk. Honestly, this was not intentional for this. I was signing some books. It starts with this, Bad Liar, and it's a trilogy, and I don't have the other books handy, but this starts here. And her name is Georgina Ricci, and she just graduated college. And Reed is a mogul for a record company called River Records that he started 10 years ago. So he's 34 and she's just about to turn 22 like next month. And feels pretty creepy that he's into a girl who's 21 and she's just like, oh, fuck off, you know, it's nothing. And she convinces him pretty readily that you're right, the age doesn't matter. And it doesn't. I'm just saying he was like, and I should say in my own defense, I have a 20-year-old daughter. So I kept thinking of my daughter being with Reed and I was like ready to pull out a shotgun. Like,
yeah.
So I had to get over that too. My daughter has only read Smitten of mine. She's never read anything else of mine because my daughters are strangely innocent in this world in terms of their own personal experience. And my books are extremely graphic. And I was like, well, you can read Smitten because it's my sweetest book and she's a virgin. And so he's very gentle with her and it's a good one if you want to read this. So they read it. And then my daughter was like, oh, I really like that. What next should I read? And I'm like,
someone else's book.
Someone else's book. Yeah, not yet. No. And so, yeah, there's a few scenes in this one, guys, if you haven't read it, that they're pretty hot. I would say definitely get on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to read that. I might start tonight. And then some other people are saying they're going to read it too. So.
Okay. Tell me what you think. He's hot. I mean, he's a fucking smoke show.
He's got a lot of swagger.
He's got a lot of moves, that one. Yep. He knows and he likes sex. And
he has no apologies.
Nope. And I love that about him.
Gotta love a guy like that.
Yes.
We're just looking at each other like, right?
Yeah. I love this model. This is Joseph Kanata. He's on Instagram and you should check him out if you have.
Yeah, he's gonna get like 200 new followers.
He is so hot. And I dealt with him in order to get these. I got more than this photo from him because I got some for like ads and promo.
Right.
He was the most gentlemanly model I have ever dealt with. And a lot of them are lovely. There's nothing to say negative about anyone, but he just was so like I was like, oh my God, he's my character come to life in every way. Every interaction, I was just like, oh, so much confidence. He just like practically, not talking about him, I'm talking about my characters. Like he's the kind of guy, like you feel like you could hear his dick thwacking against his thigh.
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
every time I walk, because it's such big dick energy. That's how I feel about him. Whew, love him.
Ah, good times, good times.
So much fun. So are there any parting questions before we call it a night?
Yes, there's another one I really wanted to ask. Do you have a word count in mind when you begin to write the story?
No. So it's interesting. I like if something's going to be in a series, I like for the books to try to be somewhere in the same range as all of them. So for instance, all the Morgan Brother books are all somewhere in the range of 110,000, 115,000. A couple, one is 120, and
Those are solid books. That's a solid size book.
those are all really thick books, and I want them. Oh, this again, I didn't do this for you, I swear, but they happen to be here.
Way to make me feel special. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, it's just I didn't think smart enough. So you can see that they look like they match. There's one missing. Your bodyguard's missing because I didn't think to bring them for this. Wasn't for this, but you can see that they're all the same size.
Right.
And that's intuitive. It's weird. Like I'm not censoring myself to keep it down. I'm not stretching it. It's just when I'm in the zone, I feel the arc of the story. I have a certain pace. I just know where I'm at in it. And they always tend to wind up the same. And yet you can see, look at this, look at Bad Liar. It's a trilogy where each book is 70,000 words. So look at the difference.
Right.
It's still a full-length book. And 3 books, 7 times, it was 70, 70, and then 90. So these were all, as a story, that's still a lot of words.
Right.
Book was a thinner one because book 1, I had to stop at a certain place because book 2 in my mind was a very different vibe and a whole different character arc and things. So anyway, weirdly enough, I went 70,000 and the second one was like on the dot 70,000 again, because again, I was in that zone and somehow I just internally knew where I needed to be.
Right.
And maybe you feel that too. So I don't really have word count goals so much as I just want the books to make sense. See? There you go.
Because we have we do have a set goal, but that's because of with a publisher. So, and that is because of marketing and because of
optics. You want it to look pretty.
Yeah. And so that's how it goes when it's the difference between being with a publisher and independent. So yeah, nobody tells me, although I did. So you guys, Victoria and I both write for Waterhouse Press. Outside of this universe I've been talking about, I wrote some misadventures. And so here's some misadventures of mine. One of them that I happen to have on my desk. I wrote 3 for Waterhouse, and I know Victoria did too. And this book is exactly 60,000 words. And they said, as the assignment, it's a 50,000 word assignment, but you can go as high as 60,000. And for whatever reason, I went 60,000. And so when I wrote the 3 of them, I wrote all 3 of them 60,000, literally on the button, each one. Right.
And it's just the way my mind works. When books go together, I want them to be the same.
The same, yeah. I don't have any line here.
I will say, in writing these misadventures, if I were left to my own devices and hadn't had a word count assignment, this book, for instance, could have easily have been 80,000 words. I just had to write a little bit differently than I normally do. I had to keep internal dialogue completely out. I had to shift to a new scene much quicker than I normally would. The book didn't suffer, but I'm just saying I could have written this book 80,000 words instead of 60. And I don't think the book would have lagged if I did that. And I don't think the book suffered for being 60, but it definitely was a bit more of a challenge to keep myself so brief. I like having a little more freedom, I've found out.
I just was not used to doing standalone at all. Yeah, and so that was, wow. I mean, I have to put a whole story into one book, and it's only 60,000 at max. So that was. Well,
especially because I don't know if this is for you, but for me, the start of the book is the hardest part. Starting Who are the two people? What's the conflict? What's the
Setting.
backstory? What's the goal?
Everything.
Jesus fucking, hey, that's the hardest part. So to have to do that every time. So if this is partly why I keep writing in the same universe with side characters getting their own books, because I already know who they are. Now all I have to do is figure out who their love interest is.
Right.
That's only half the job than it
Right.
normally is. So
Yeah. All the
I'm
groundwork's laid.
just lazy. There you go. That's why.
Yeah. You're just lazy. That Lauren Rowe, she is lazy, lazy.
That's what everybody always says.
That's what in the next review you get.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't pay for this book because she is lazy. Ah. Thank you for coming and talking to me.
So much fun. I've been looking forward to it so much.
I'm so
And
glad.
you know, it's just to see you looking so vibrant and healthy and beautiful warms me so much. I mean, really, I mean, you've been through so much. God, I just got like kind of teary-eyed.
Yeah, don't cry. What are you doing right
I don't know. You just,
Jeez.
I mean, I was just thinking about, you know, you really had a bad go of it for a bit there. And I really hated to see you had some twists and turns that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And so to see you come through it so strong, I'm so proud of you. I'm inspired by you. You're a beautiful soul, a talented,
thank
beautiful
you.
woman. And I'm really, really lucky to be your friend.
Oh, you're killing me.
So thank
Killing
you
me small. Thank you so much. I'm so lucky you're in my life.
you.
I love you too.
You and love to everybody out there, if anybody's still out there at all. Mwah.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go drink another glass of wine and watch
Do it.
this haunting at Bly Manor that I keep hearing about. We shall see.
It was so awesome to hear you guys talk. It was so like heartwarming. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
for
you, Lauren, for being on.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we'll end this now and see you all next month for our next mystery
Yeah.
author.
Oh, I'm coming back again. Is that what you said?
Every month. It's me and you.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.